Now, government has launched an urgent appeal for international support to meet a shortfall of almost 50 million Ghana cedis to fund Ghana's Ebola preparedness efforts. Head of Disease Surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bedusa Akodia, said Ghana urgently needed support of the international community because problems with the deadly disease that has claimed more than 4,000 lives in 3 West African countries is not just a national issue. According to the head of disease surveillance at Ghana Health Service, key issues like the comfort of doctors who will be taking care of patients in case of an outbreak is another reason the country needs international support. Ahead of an ECOWAS heads of states mini summit on the disease on Thursday, health officials have revealed they have only managed to raise 24 million Ghana cedis out of a budget of nearly 80 million Ghana cedis. Dr. Victor Bampo is Deputy Health Minister. Let's get some insights into this and some other matters around battling the disease. Dr. Bampo, thank you very much for joining me on News Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. But let's talk about the fact that the country is short 50 million Ghana cedis as far as its preparedness to the funding of Ebola efforts is concerned. We need a total of 80 million Ghana cedis according to what I have. We've raised 24 million Ghana cedis. We need 50 more. How do we intend to raise it?
Well, I think let me just correct things a little bit. Yesterday we had what I consider to be a very successful stakeholders engagement forum where we invited people from government, from civil society, our development partners, and others. And we shared our preparedness plan and budget. And currently the preparedness plan and budget shows that there is that gap. But even so, from the time that we developed that plan and budget to now, a lot of partners are providing support. Lead amongst them is government. So government has never reneged on its contributions, or has never said that they cannot provide support. We get support from other development partners. For example, Denmark gave us almost $3 million. Norway gave us $1 million. The UN agencies are giving us a lot of technical support. US has given us $1.7 million, China, and so on. So I think that document just shows where the gaps are. It's not saying that we cannot find the money, So it's an ongoing process of collating all the support that is coming in. I even forgot to mention private sector, CASA, PRECO, American Chamber of Commerce, and so on. So it's an ongoing process. It's not as if we are stuck because we don't have money. That would be an erroneous impression.
I see. And so how much do we have specifically?
It's difficult to say. I have a list of the donations that have been made so far. And it's not only in cash. Different agencies, different countries are making donations in kind, bringing personal protective equipment, bringing non-contact thermometers, and so on. So it will be difficult to put a monetary value on it. But as we speak now, we have fun. We've been doing training. We've been doing like the stakeholder engagement and so on. We did a simulation last week. So we do have adequate funds, and we are expending them to do what is required. If we have a shortfall in funds, we will go to government, and I'm very sure that government will then plug that shortfall, or other development partners will do so.
You mentioned a number of figures that we've been getting from some countries across the world. I'm not sure I understood when you mentioned the gap. What exactly is the gap? Because if we have 3 million and the target was 80 million Ghana cedis, then there shouldn't be a gap.
You're dealing with the ideal. So, when you're doing the planning process, you say, okay, this is where I want to get to. This is what I need to get there. And this is, how much I have. And then you build up on it. So definitely, if you're going to ask for money from government or from other development partners, they want to see the ideal, situation. So if Ghana is fully prepared to face Ebola, what are all the things that we need? You understand? and then you cost all of them. It doesn't mean that you're going to do everything today or tomorrow, but it's in your plan. And hopefully you have a timeline as well. So you say, okay, I'm going to build the Tema treatment center by this time and so on. So that gap that my colleague was talking about represents what we need to get to the ideal situation where everything is fully funded and fully ready. But what I'm saying is that, and I think the take-home message is that as we speak now, we do have funds that have been given to us by government and other development partners that we are using to do things as we move along.
Very well. I'm sure we can understand that bit you have just explained. But how much have we spent so far?
You know, it would be difficult. That's what I said. In fact, I thought that we were going to talk about our preparedness.
We will.
Yes. So it's difficult for me to pluck figures, you know, out of the air.
Very well.
Because there's a whole committee that deals with the funding situation, and I was not actually told before this interview that we were going to deal with that.
Fair enough. Let's talk about when we can have the other treatment centers come alive, for lack of a better word. We know that Tema is well and done.
Yes. So Tema is well and done. The plan is that we would have 3 zonal treatment centers. Now, we've asked our colleagues in the military to quickly construct the Kumasi and the Tamale ones. However, in Kumasi and Tamale, we have two centers that have been identified. So even though the ideal centers that we want to construct have not been completed, we have 2 identified areas that we would use in case something was to happen in the middle belt or in the northern belt, in Tamale and in Kumasi. We are hoping that in the next 6 to 8 weeks or soon thereafter, the military would then be able to finish the definitive treatment center that we want to put in place. So there is no question of a gap. If something were to happen today, touch wood, if something were to happen today in Kumasi, we would have the people and we would have the place to manage it. But we want a situation where our health workers are put in the least possible position of being vulnerable. So we want to get to the ideal situation.
So then we can now talk about the ECOWAS summit to be held here in Accra starting tomorrow. What efforts or what preparation are we making towards those who will be coming from other countries into this place, other West African countries into this place?
Okay. So I think we continue to talk about the fact that Ghana's strategy is based on 3 pillars. And pillar 1, of course, is public education. And pillar 2 is the point of entry screening. So we are doing things already at the point of entry. Because of the ECOWAS summit, we are going to increase it and also broaden the scope of it. And I'll explain what I mean. So we have His Excellency, the President, Chairman of ECOWAS, has invited his colleague ministers who will be meeting tomorrow, and I understand that the meeting has been extended to Friday as well. However, today the Health Minister is chairing, the Honorable Minister of Health is chairing the Health Ministers meeting. So people started arriving from yesterday. Some will be arriving today and tomorrow and so on. So there are 3 different areas where we are paying attention to, and a 4th that I'll come to. The Jubilee Lounge, where normally heads of state would enter the country through, the VVIP, and the normal arrivals hall. What we've done is that we've ensured that we have the necessary screening equipment there. So at the arrival hall, there are, of course, the walk-through thermometers, or walk-through thermometers. At VVIP and Jubilee Lounge, we have our personnel there with the walk-through thermometers, actually the handheld thermometers, with the Veronica buckets to ensure that they wash their hands and so on, with the sanitizers, and of course they would fill a form which will give all the contact details and answer all the relevant questions, which will let us know whether they are, they've been in contact with somebody who's had Ebola and whether they are safe. So there's enhanced screening at the airport. We are also planning that at the conference venue, we will do some kind of catch-up screening. There will be an ambulance at the conference venue And there would be some kind of checking of temperatures also at the conference venue, so that if we skipped anybody, we could sort of do a mop-up there. But we're taking it very, very seriously to make sure that, if there's any, hints of somebody coming in who is showing some symptoms, then we can pick that person up.
Then it means that the airport is going to be extremely busy. What does it mean for the human capital we'll be sending there?
Well, what we've done is that we've increased the number of people who are doing the screening by a little bit. And we've also taken people, normally the Jubilee Lounge, for example, is not used until, heads of state or other VVIPs are coming. So it's something that we had to make provision for. But it was in our planning already. So it's something that we dealt with in conjunction with the Ghana Immigration Service and the other national security and the other agencies that we work with.
Are you able to tell us how many more personnel you're taking to the airport because of the summit?
No, because we've provided, we gave the directive and we provided the oversight. But I mean, I can direct you to the people, the relevant people. We are in constant touch with them. So, for example, the head of Port Health at the airport, Mr. Mapo, I was just on the phone with him 30 minutes ago. And there's a head of international health regulations who looks after all the Port Health personnel across the country. So, we can direct you to them so that they can answer the specific questions.
Very well. I'm sure we'll do that in subsequent broadcasts. Thank you very much, Dr. Bampo.